Welcome to the St. Louis Regional Freightway's 2023 Freight Summit. As you know, this is our signature event for FreightWeekSTL. I'm Mary Lamie, the Executive Vice President of Multimodal Enterprises, which is one of Bi-State Development's enterprises. So today's a special day within the FreightWeekSTL schedule. This is our first in-person Freight Summit since 2019. It's a highlight within a week that already has featured our Innovation Day. That was on Monday. We showcased several visionary solutions being deployed that will impact freight movement in the years to come, followed by yesterday's spotlight on ongoing investments by 4 St. Louis area regional ports. And for those of you in the audience who were able to join us on the Ag Coast of America cruise, we hosted that as well. If you are interested in viewing any of those sessions, you can go to thefreightway.com at your convenience if you were not able to catch those sessions. So we're super excited about today's lineup, which includes the release of the 2024 priority project list, followed by a keynote address that will spotlight the East Coast's largest container import gateway, the Port of New York, New Jersey. So before we get into the program, the first thing I need to do is I need to recognize our sponsors. So starting with this year's presenting sponsors includes the Boeing Center, Washington University, Steadfast City, St. Louis, University of Missouri, St. Louis, Millstone Weber, and Ameren. Our supporting sponsors are the Jerry Costello Group and the Hauser Group. And our associate sponsors for this year include Southern Illinois Builders Association, Terracon, Alberici, Castle Contracting, HNTB, CDI, and Brinkman Constructors. We appreciate all of the sponsors' support that made it possible for us to deliver FreightWeekSTL. Okay, so now let's get started with the priority project list. And as many of you know, this is a valuable tool that's used to advocate for funding and support for critical infrastructure improvements that strengthen the St. Louis region's position as a world-class freight hub. These projects are identified by the Freightway's Freight Development Committee, which includes representatives from the Illinois, the Missouri Departments of Transportation, East-West Gateway Council of Governments, all modes of transportation, the manufacturing, logistics industries, and academia, all working collectively together through a process that has been recognized nationally for its effectiveness. And we also want to greatly appreciate the role that TRA President Brent Wood for his leadership. Brent is in our audience today. Thank you, Brent, for all of your leadership with helping us with this program. This environment of collaboration is key to the region's success in advancing some of our highest priority infrastructure projects, such as the recently completed $220 million replacement of the Merchants Bridge that links Missouri and Illinois near downtown St. Louis. And then you're going to hear about the other projects with comments from Kirk and Michelle. So we're delighted to have Kirk Brown, Region 5 engineer for the Illinois Department of Transportation, and Michelle Forneris, Assistant District Engineer for the Missouri Department of Transportation, to help reinforce how the priority project list is helping to advance key infrastructure projects located here in the St. Louis region. All right, so Kirk, we're going to start with you, and we're going to ask for you to come forward, give us a quick introduction to you, your role with the Illinois Department of Transportation, and tell our audience about some of the most significant projects on our list that IDOT is advancing at this time.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary. Of course, I work with IDOT, and for those of you who took either I-5570 or I-64 from Illinois, you're familiar with our work today. So sorry and not sorry on that. I am the Deputy Director for the department under Secretary Omar Osman out of Springfield. I've been with the department a little over 30 years. All my time has been here in the Metro East. Region 5 is composed of 26 southern Illinois counties, so essentially the southern portion of the state. District 8 is the 11 collar counties of the Metro East, so Madison and St. Clair being the largest of those. We have roughly 600 employees out of that Collinsville office who work to manage, maintain, and improve our highway system. Out of those 600 employees, my job mainly is to make sure they have the equipment, the tools, the training, and anything they need to get our projects built and constructed. So they are the heart of what we do. They are the reason why we have the mobility and improved transportation network that we do in Illinois. Some of you may have heard of the Rebuild Illinois funding program. So back in 2019, Illinois was successful in increasing our funding. They finally were able to attribute an improvement to the gas tax, which was raised and indexed to inflation, which was probably even back long ago when Mary was with the department, it was our dream come true, that we would have funding sustainable and allow us to build the projects that are needed, which is very self-sustaining because as people fill up their tanks and put miles and damage on the highway system, those are the same funds that go to actually repair and improve it and keep it moving forward for the future needs. Statewide, statewide, we have a 6-year program we call the multi-year program. That program right now, there's $24.6 billion that Illinois has slated for highway construction improvements. Out of that, in District 8 alone, roughly 10% of that, $2.3 billion just within the next 6 years of approved projects funded. So that, if nothing else, should tell you how serious the department and the state is about bringing transportation and infrastructure improvements to this vital part of the country. We partner with a myriad of stakeholders because transportation quite simply affects everyone. We have a very collaborative approach because we know it's beneficial and that's vital for all our users and it's vital to our success. One of our key stakeholders and key partners is MoDOT, of course. Glad Michelle's able to join us here today. They share our mission of improving the highway system and making it usable for everyone. A few of our recent examples of that collaboration include, kind of going back a little bit. For those of you who are familiar, we have the I-270, I-255 loop, I-255 being the predominant part on our side of the river. Back in 2020, the department, we moved to actually close and do a full reconstruction on that portion of I-255, which was something that hadn't been done, a closure of a full interstate before, 7 miles long. You can imagine a lot of nervousness when we would take that to the public and say this is our plan. But part of, as I mentioned, a collaborative effort, MoDOT had actually done a similar project on I-64 quite a few years before, and they were very kind in sharing their lessons learned with us. So that made for a better project on our side of the river, and we were able to take those lessons learned and we were able to get that project built within one construction season, diverted traffic off of it, made it safe for the workers, safer for the public because they weren't seeing different traffic control conditions on a daily basis, and we were able to get the project done and constructed. We also work regularly. We reestablish meetings periodically, so we talk very commonly about what's going on both sides of the river. And why that's important is because it's the same traffic, it's the same commuters that are traveling on both sides. We recognize that in reality, our residents, our motorists, they actually live and work, and even our staff, they live and work on both sides of the river. They're the same commuters. So it benefits us to talk together, to work together, to make sure that the improvements that are going on one side are not going to negatively impact the traffic on the other side. Having that regional approach makes for a more reliable, sustainable network for all users, and it's a model for interstate mobility. So just thinking about it from what the needs are on both sides of the river has been beneficial to us. Some of our most significant projects that you'll see and hear a little bit more about in the plans that we have today. Probably the largest is the I-270 Chain of Rocks construction project of the bridge, replacing the current bridge over the Mississippi River. So that construction project is ongoing for those of you who are familiar with it. The first portion of the bridge is actually being built south of the existing one, so we're not impeding traffic unduly right now. But that will be the bridge itself is $496.2 million. That's the awarded cost. And that's just the bridge itself. There's an interchange just to the west of it at Riverview Interchange, and it is in such close proximity that we partnered with Missouri, and we made sure that we had one contractor, the same contractor awarded for both projects, so that there would not be any finger pointing. That contractor is responsible for the river bridge itself and for the Riverview Interchange. So the interchange was worth $35.4 million for a total combined cost for that improvement of $532 million well over $500 million just for one project to the region. And that should also highlight just how serious that the department and the state are about bringing these improvements timely and necessary. That project, if you've ever, show of hands, anyone driven that 270 bridge, so you know not to doze off, not to pay it, not to nod off. You got 2 lanes and you have a 1-foot shoulder, so nothing better happen. But this project will widen it out, make it accommodate 6 lanes in the future when we get to that point, and there'll be 10-foot safety shoulders, so there'll be room for stopped vehicles, which is going to be a much improved safety system for everyone and will allow for improved mobility for the whole network going forward. Another thing about that project is over 20% truck volume. So if you're familiar with that section of 270, we've got several warehouses, including Amazon, including Worldwide Technologies, just to the east at Illinois 111 interchange. So the increased, and they're still building. So these improvements can't come fast enough in terms of having a better, more sustainable bridge going forward. I just mentioned that Illinois 111 interchange, so that'll be a diverging diamond interchange that's right there at Pontoon Beach, right there at the doorstep for these warehousing areas. So the great thing about that is sort of an innovative design. It's a diverging diamond, which there are very few that are in our area. Missouri has a couple on this side of the river. This is our first in the Metro East. What it'll feel like, even though the interstate goes on top, as you're driving under it, it will feel like you were crossing over to the left side of the road. And it's going to eliminate some of the conflict points, as we call them, and allow for smoother traffic flow. And then they'll, of course, cross back over to the right side of the road. So it'll be a little bit of a learning curve, but once you've been through it once, twice, we're sure our motorists will get be able to follow and understand. We have the Illinois 3 Connector project, which is an $82 million improved access point, and this is in the Fairmont City, East St. Louis area. So this improves the connection between arterial routes of Illinois 203 and Illinois 3, also improves connections to Exchange Avenue. This is a very industrialized area with lots of industry that uses particularly Route 3. It will improve that connection there, give them better access to the tri-level, better access on and off really in the East St. Louis area. We have relocated Illinois 3, also in the same area, so over $300 million. And this is just for the segment. It goes from River Park Drive, which is near the Casino Queen, going south on new alignment to Monsanto Avenue in Sauget. And this will essentially, the great thing about this project is it will divert and essentially be a front door for particularly industrial traffic to go without going through the Popper Street complex. And perhaps, putting additional burden on that system and additional trucks in the way continuing to merge with other traffic and allow them their own route where they can go to another industrial area, Sauget. So we think that's really going to be a much needed improvement. That's in the study phase right now, but that project, we're looking forward to seeing that one come to fruition as well. We have a $17 million improvement, which is a 2-lane extension on Air Mobility Drive, which is also named Illinois 158. So this is near Scott Air Force Base. It just extends new 2 lanes of pavement about a mile south. The department already owns the land for that, but this will allow another north-south route and provide some alleviation for traffic that's making those movements. We have several other projects that are in our multi-year plan, and it's a very robust plan. Again, I was asked recently, what does our program look like now compared to the pre-rebuild Illinois construction improvement dollars before we received that? I didn't know. I looked back. Any guesses as to how much larger the District 8 program is now than before? A lot more. Yes. We actually, in District 8 alone, we have 3.4 times the size of the projects that we did in dollar values. And even when you adjust even for inflation a little bit, that's a tremendous amount of work that's coming to the Metro East. And so we recognize that that these needs are there, that the department is serious about funding them and getting these improvements done, because we know that these things are going to help sustain our region for a long time going forward.
Alrighty, Kirk, those are great projects that are going to go a long way with strengthening the freight network on the Illinois side. So Michelle, now it's your turn to give a quick introduction of your role with MoDOT, and then fill us in on some of the significant projects that are included with the FreightWay's priority project list.
All right. Well, good afternoon. Thanks for having me. I'm Michelle Forneris, Assistant District Engineer here for MoDOT St. Louis. my side of the house covers all of MoDOT St. Louis operations. So maintenance, traffic engineering, transportation management center, our emergency response team, and all of our area engineers. So if you do not know any of your area engineers, those are the people you need to get to know. They are the face of MoDOT in all of your communities. So we have area engineers that cover St. Charles County, St. Louis City, Jefferson, and Franklin counties. So those are the ones that know all of your projects and will help you get projects identified and scoped and through the process. So make sure you're reaching out to them as well. You asked to cover some of the highlighted projects. I'll start with I-270 North, so bear with us. I know even just walking in, folks that have been dealing with I-270 North for the last several years. This is a $278 million design build project. It's scheduled to be finished later this year, but it's been a multi-year process, and we appreciate everybody's patience as we've updated infrastructure for safety, traffic congestion, and just the overall deteriorating infrastructure that was on 270 North. I-70 improvements from Wentzville Parkway to Route Z. So the goal of that project is to improve the capacity, safety, and reliability of I-70, basically between Wentzville Parkway and I-64. That is scheduled to be bid later this year of 2023. We are very humbled that right now the General Assembly for Missouri's fiscal year 24 has slated $2.8 billion for I-70 for improvements from Wentzville to Blue Springs, so over 200 miles of I-70. So more to come on the overall I-70 projects, as we are hopeful that the governor signs that budget with that line item. So again, we're very humbled to be entrusted with $2.8 billion for I-70 improvements. The I-55 corridor is those improvements are comprised of the communities of Peevely, Crystal City, Festus, and Herculaneum. That is a design build project as well. We are hoping to announce the construction team here at our commission meeting in July of 2023. That is conceptually studied for I-55 between the Route Z interchange and the US 67 interchange in Jefferson County. With that being design build, they've done all the traffic pattern studies, they've done the roadway conditions, noise analysis, and then that construction team will put that package together and we plan to announce in July. We do have some significant ongoing work. As Kirk referenced, we do partner with Illinois quite a bit. We are lead agency on the JB Bridge rehabilitation project. So that is scheduled for later this year. This is phase 2 or round 2 of the other bridge. So during that work, we are also doing the Koch Road Bridge since we've got traffic staged. So quite a bit of work on the I-255 JB Bridge connection between Missouri and Illinois going on. But that work finishes up later this year. We also have 14 bridges on I-55 between Lindbergh and Arsenal that are under construction. So significant investment in the I-55 corridor through the city and St. Louis County. Those bridges, again, this is construction year 2 for those. And then next year we will start on the pavement to replace all of that pavement between there.
Thank you, Michelle. You did great with that. There's no question that MoDOT is also investing heavily in our critical infrastructure, and it's helping keep freight moving through our region. So in our time this afternoon, Michelle and Kirk, you've both been able to touch on a few of some of our critical projects that are included on our 2024 priority project list. For those of you who are interested in more information, we obviously have a list of all the projects on your desk. If you want even more, like 60 pages of fact sheets, which we will not cover today, you can go to our website, thefreightway.com, go to the homepage under FreightWeekSTL, click on that. You will get the complete list and about 60 pages of fact sheets. So there you have it. Last thing I want to talk about regarding the priority project list, and that is the benefits of what the Freight Development Committee is doing and all of you in supporting the Freightway and these efforts. And that is, today we're celebrating some of these projects that are moving forward. $220 million Merchants Bridge, the 270 Chain of Rocks River Bridge. Those are projects that were on this list 6 and 7 years ago. So there was a lot of hard work that led up to those projects either being completed or funded. And that hard work was basically having all those industry leaders coming forward, explaining from a freight perspective the value of having reliable, efficient freight moving through this area. We took that information, we put that list together, and over the last several years, we built awareness and engagement for those projects. So we were able to do that with the DOTs and with their elected leaders. And by doing that, when it came time for funding and the grants became available, we obviously helped out as far as getting industry leaders to send letters of support. But I really think that secret to that success is that we built that awareness at a local and a national level. Our elected leaders, our federal leaders were already aware. They knew instantly this is important. Other states knew the importance of those projects. And when it came time for us to compete for those grants, we were very successful. I always mention the 270 Chain of Rocks Bridge because of many of you know, and with all of our experience, at times it's really difficult for two DOTs to have funding at the same time. Funding's very cyclic. One DOT has money, the other DOT doesn't. But for the St. Louis area, because of all that collaboration that took place, when it came time for funding for that project, somehow we were able to secure those dollars that Michelle and Kirk had achieved. So very appreciative of all this work. Thank you to our Freight Development Committee members who are here with us today. We appreciate the working relationship we have with the DOTs and your willingness to work with all the industry leaders, so thank you on that. I need to give a final thank you to our sponsors for FreightWeekSTL 2023. Their support makes it possible for us to deliver the great content that is the hallmark of our annual conference. We encourage you to share links to any of our Freight Week content with others who may be interested.